Hello and welcome to Just One More Watch. Welcome today to my review of a Citizen diver that ticks a lot of boxes, specifically those being full-size, titanium, eco-drive, sapphire crystal, ISO certified, GMT complication, and a bargain. I got one of these for less than half of the RRP from an authorised Citizen dealer here in Australia, therefore carrying the full 5-year domestic warranty. I paid the equivalent of $299 for this one when I picked it up on a flash sale last month. Now, after steadfastly ignoring Citizen for the first 3 years of running this channel, I've been playing catch up over the last 2 years and I have reviewed some crackers recently. Most of them having the ultra reliable and ultra durable eco-drive movements in them. It seems to me that if you're buying an affordable Citizen, you may as well go eco-drive, because apart from anything else, if you don't, you're going to end up with a Miyota 8000 series. And we all know what that means, don't we? Most of these recent Citizen reviews, however, have contained the same complaint. As much as these watches tick a lot of boxes, they fail to tick the one marked desire or lust, or even, frankly, excitement. You know what I mean, the X factor that makes you want to put a watch on and then not take it off again. Is this BJ7110-89E finally the Citizen that I just can't take off my wrist? Let's flip the camera and find out. Alright, let's start with a brief look at the packaging. Like I've said, I've looked at a number of Citizens of late. You've probably seen all of this before. However, the packaging actually contains one of this watch's standout features. Yet another box this one ticks, the 5-year warranty. Now, I didn't pay $599, I paid $399 for this one during a sale. The RRP on it is a somewhat optimistic, shall we say, 899 Aussie dollars. I don't think it's worth that. But even at the RRP, a 5-year warranty is fantastic. For less than half of that RRP, a 5-year warranty is just amazing. But the question remains as to whether I find this watch sufficiently interesting so as to keep it for 5 years. Specs wise, it really does have everything that one could hope for from a daily, and a little bit more besides. It's a big boy, 43mm in diameter, perhaps slightly larger than average therefore, but don't forget this is titanium, so you wait for the weight if you see what I mean. Thickness is close to 14mm at 13.9mm thick. Now that is despite the eco-drive quartz movement, which is nice and slim. There is plenty of depth to the dial, as I'll show you later on. Lug to lug is a manageable 49.3, with that awkward 21mm lug width. Thanks for nothing there, Citizen. I will, however, thank them for the weight, or lack thereof. 118 grams is outstanding for a big, proper, certified ISO air diving watch like this. Citizen refer to this one as being made of super titanium, but they don't quite define what that means, other than the fact that they think it's super. Case finish is perfectly pleasant, nicely finished throughout, with the edges of those lugs being sharp yet smooth at the same time. The ProMaster branded crown is screwed down, of course, but both the crown and the bezel have a shine to them that makes me suspect they are in fact made of stainless steel. Look, at 118 grams total, I'm not going to complain, and it's not the first watch that I've come across using mixed materials in exactly this way before. The bracelet is definitely titanium though, solid links with a pin and collar system holding them all together, solid end links, and a full titanium clasp, which is sometimes where other brands do use mixed materials, pressed upper, milled titanium lower. Citizen stamped security fold over and double pushers, but only 3 holes of micro adjust. I would have preferred a 4th hole to fully cover the distance between 2 links. As a consequence, I'm either slightly loose or slightly tight with this one on my 7-inch wrist. At 118 grams though, I choose slightly loose. The case back is screwed down in titanium and it's printed with the signature Citizen eco-drive world map and those magic words, "Do not open, service centre repair only." These eco-drives are not for the tinkerers among us. Behind the case back lies a caliber B877. This means plus or minus 15 seconds per month accuracy with a 6-month lifespan when fully charged. As with all of these eco-drives, there's a low power indicator they refer to as an insufficient charge warning. The watch will tick once every 2 seconds. At that point, you've got about 3 days to leave your cave and find some light, or the watch will hibernate until you do so. Now, I included this Citizen in my top 10 GMTs under $1,000 video recently, and it was unique in that group as it was the only watch that had a proper dive time bezel as well as a GMT complication. It's a 120 click unidirectional bezel and almost silent in operation. Now, that bezel may or may not in fact be made of stainless steel as mentioned, but it does provide fairly reasonable grip. The fully marked insert is made of aluminium and it has a recessed lume pip at the 60/0. Dial and hands. Well, first of all, let's induct this particular Citizen into a very small and select club. A club populated only by watches that have an internal Cyclops. I've only seen this a couple of times before with a Tissot PR100 quartz and a few others. In theory though, it's the perfect solution, isn't it? You retain the enhanced legibility of the date complication that you get from a Cyclops, but without the wart-like lump on the top of your sapphire crystal. As mentioned, this thing is nearly 14mm thick, so there was plenty of space to hide a Cyclops under the sapphire, if only they had aligned it properly. The glass looks like it's a degree, maybe 2 degrees twisted clockwise to me. The Cyclops therefore sitting slightly south of the date. Now in terms of colour, we're all black, white, silver and yellow with this one, the yellow giving the watch a much needed lift. But the yellow being limited only to the tip of the GMT hand, the GMT lettering printed above the index at 6, and the 24 Arabic on that big angled chapter ring. The dial itself is one of those embossed ones that indices push through from the back rather than being either painted on or applied. Polished silver surrounds to them and white centres. It's Citizen's signature index at 12, angled rectangles at 6 and 9 and circles everywhere else. The handset is also recognisably Citizen with a semi-skeletonized sword hour hand, segmented arrowhead minute hand, both those hands with slight syringe tips and a long and slender white arrow second hand. Now the GMT hand is an interesting one. Yellow at the tip as noted, but the majority of it is black, so it mostly disappears on the dial, leaving only that yellow tip visible. And check out the depth of that chapter ring. That has got to be the thickest and deepest chapter ring that I've ever seen. Minute markers on the edge closest to the dial and sizable even Arabics for the GMT complication on its outer angled edge. They have certainly utilised all 13.9mm of this watch's thickness there. After dark, we can induct this Citizen into yet another club, that being the GMTs without a lume GMT hand club. It's nice to see the Oris Aquis GMT finally getting a friend because it was that club's only member for a couple of years there. The lume is okay if a little patchy. You can see as we get towards the end of the test, those embossed indices are fading fast and the hands don't look like they've been evenly applied. They are still visible though, as is the lume pip. It's sufficient, if not stellar. On wrist, it is a chunky big thing, but it doesn't really feel like it because it's less than 120 grams. It fits my 7-inch wrist okay, but even the fact that it has male end links means it's already pushing out a little bit further than I would have personally liked it to. Do bear that in mind if your wrists are smaller than mine. The bracelet is very comfortable though, nice and smooth, and the clasp is well sized, I think proportionate to the size of the head of the watch. As I said, I could have done with one more hole of adjustment here, so it is a little loose, but with a watch this light, I don't really have a problem wearing it a little loose. Alright then, moans and niggles, have I found my perfect Citizen watch, or am I about to trash this one? Well, it's a bit of an odd fish really in some ways, isn't it? The internal Cyclops guarantees it of that status, and why would you put such a hulking great GMT chapter ring on a watch and then make the GMT hand itself barely noticeable, especially when the lights are out? Look, the specifications of this watch are fantastic, especially at the price that I paid. But does it mean that I haven't wanted to take this one off, the question that I asked in the introduction? Well, let's return briefly to some footage of that introduction and have a look at my left wrist. I'm not even wearing the Citizen in the intro for the video of the Citizen. I'm wearing a Casio. This unfortunately is yet another watch by Citizen that ticks every box for me, apart from the one marked desire or emotional connection. I don't know what it is about the brand, but I have great difficulty creating a bond with a Citizen in the way that I find much easier with watches from Seiko or Casio or Oris or any number of other brands that I could mention. They just don't set my heart aflutter, which leaves me in a slightly odd position. Do I recommend this watch? Absolutely, it's great value, super sensible, full of utility, and it does indeed tick an awful lot of boxes, and for a lot of people that will be enough. who am I kidding? It's normally enough for me as well. But will I be keeping this watch? That's a quite different question. I highly doubt it. I will probably sell it and quite possibly put the funds towards another Citizen, still chasing the dream of the Citizen that I fall in love with, which in reality probably doesn't actually exist. So there you have it, another Citizen that will no doubt perform dutifully and reliably for years, if not decades. But another Citizen that leaves me somewhat cold. I guess it depends what you're after from your watch, but personally I could do with something with just a little bit more personality than this one. If you are keen on the brand but this one didn't float your boat either, why not check out the chunky but funky Auto I looked at a couple of months ago, or arguably my all-time favourite Citizen, the classic Eco Drive Pro Master. Thanks for watching, I will see you all again in a future video.